If standard multiplayer games are boring and the soul asks for something more original, the best solution in this situation will be games with asymmetric multiplayer. Fortunately, today there are a fairly large number of such projects, and a significant part of them are of excellent quality. Secret Neighbor. In this mix of horror and action, players will take on the roles of kids who have made their way into the house of a strange neighbor in order to free their comrade. The problem is that one of the friends is a neighbor in disguise, and he can betray the children while they split up looking for keys to access the basement. Secret Neighbor follows the concept of 4v1, where players are up against a stronger and more cunning opponent. If you do not unite, the neighbor will win. But do not forget about the study of the house. The villain, in turn, can confuse rivals, ingratiate himself, and catch everyone one by one. The test is not easy. A Year of Rain. Daedalic Entertainment's real-time strategy Game 2 obviously copies the ideas and style of Warcraft, and would have remained a nondescript clone if not for the original asymmetrical multiplayer mechanics. For example, players can challenge each other in 2v2 online mode, where huge armies act on one side and powerful heroes on the other. In this fight, users can test which is stronger, the number or power, the variety of units, or the abundance of abilities. The Meat Shooter Doom Eternal features an unusual multiplayer. Here the player in the form of Doombai confronts two rival players who, in the role of demons, are trying to defeat him. The developers admitted that the traditional network mode in Doom 2016 was not successful, so they decided to come up with something new. Doombai is obviously stronger than any demon, so his opponents will have to work together and invent complex tactics to defeat the illustrious warrior. Predator: Hunting Grounds. The asymmetric multiplayer action game Predator: Hunting Grounds takes us back to the distant 80s, trying to convey the atmosphere of the very film with Schwarzenegger. Here, the player, dressed in the skin of the Predator, will fight a squad of human players using a deadly arsenal of weapons and gadgets. The developers have prepared several different locations, worked out the gameplay to the smallest detail, and implemented an interesting cat-and-mouse game between an alien guest and the inhabitants of the Earth. The game was created by the Ilphonic Studio, which is not new to the implementation of asymmetric multiplayer. Earlier, the team was noted for playing Friday the 13th, the game. Resident Evil: Resistance. Multiplayer horror mode Resident Evil free remake, in which 4 players try to get out of the zombie epidemic Raccoon City, fighting the Walking Dead and mutants. The fugitives are closely watched by the 5th player, who acts as an antagonist. He can set traps, unleash hordes of zombies on the survivors, and even personally engage in battle, trying on the image of a mighty monster. In general, do everything so that rivals do not reach the goal. Operation Tango. In this co-op espionage adventure, players will share roles. One becomes an agent who works directly in the field, and the second takes on the duties of a hacker, which keeps his partner at a distance, hacking into various systems. Moreover, the gameplay of Operation Tango is built in such a way that both participants are constantly involved in the process. For example, an agent can examine an object in search of parts of a password, while a hacker is trying to gain remote access to the server. Or the agent bypasses laser traps that only the hacker can see through his computer interface. Needless to say, voice communication between players is required. StarCraft. There are 3 completely different races in the StarCraft games: Terrans, Zerg, and Protoss. The former have good defense, prefer to deal damage at a distance. The latter are extremely prolific, taking in quantity and infecting everything they can reach. Still others produce powerful, but rather expensive units. The developers have perfectly balanced all the factions, so none of them has an advantage over the others, and for each unit of one race, the rest will definitely find a worthy answer. However, the style of play for each of the sides of StarCraft is radically different, which allows us to classify this line of RTS to the list of projects with asymmetric multiplayer. Among Us is a popular multiplayer game whose concept was inspired by the famous Mafia. Here, gamers organize themselves into a team and confront a traitor who is trying to quietly eliminate all rivals. Each side of the conflict has different goals and ways to achieve them. For example, an imposter can move through the ventilation, arrange sabotage, and quietly kill crew members. His opponents, in turn, fix the equipment, can hold a vote, and throw overboard those they think are traitors. Monstrum 2 divides players into two teams. One, which includes 4 members, is trying to escape from a location that is turned into a prison. The second, consisting of 1 player, is trying to interfere with opponents. Prisoners explore rooms and corridors, look for tools and weapons, repair mechanisms, and try not to catch the eye of the monster. He, in turn, roams the level, hits, and destroys. It's a good asymmetric horror game, but it's desperately lacking polish and more player-packed online. Counter-Strike Global Offensive. In the games of the Counter-Strike series, the confrontation takes place between terrorist groups and special forces. This is not a typical asymmetrical multiplayer game. Still, the forces here are approximately equal. Both sides are made up of people, and victory depends on the skill of the player and not on the weapons or abilities of the characters. At the same time, each side of the conflict has its own set of equipment, and the M4 assault rifle available to special forces differs significantly from the AK-47 terrorists presented in the same class. It Takes Two is a game that cannot be completed alone. In this co-op action game, players take on the roles of a married couple, Cody and May, whose marriage is falling apart at the seams. A mysterious magical power has turned the spouses into dolls, and now they must find a way to become normal again. And along the way, the heroes will also figure out their relationship. The developers have prepared unique gameplay options for the characters. For example, while one hero gains the ability to control time, the second acquires the ability to create clones, or while Cody acquires a set of nails, May gets a hammer at her disposal. This motivates you to play through the game at least once more after completion to evaluate the gameplay for another character. Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. The cooperative puzzle game Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes invites players to split into 2 teams. One participant finds himself alone with a ticking bomb, while his friends receive instructions for disarming it. The catch lies in the fact that the players do not see what is happening on the partner's screen, so they will have to communicate by voice, trying to figure out the complicated device of the bomb. Thanks to procedural generation, unique puzzles are created every time, and therefore the gameplay always remains unpredictable. Depth is an asymmetrical online action game where players take sides of divers or sharks. The former hunt for treasure, the latter hunt the former. On the side of the divers, team play, stealth, and weapons. Sharks, on the other hand, are armed with sharp teeth, better navigate underwater, and rely on surprise. Depth's only problem is that it's endangered like a mako shark online. Back 4 Blood. The online shooter from the creators of Left 4 Dead exploits the theme of the zombie apocalypse and invites players to break through hordes of the Walking Dead, using the weapons and abilities of the heroes. The game has not only co-op, but also PvP multiplayer, in which one team will act as survivors, but the second will stand on the other side, trying on the guise of mutant monsters. Evil Dead. The game is reminiscent of Friday the 13th, the game, and Dead by Daylight. It's an asymmetrical action game where teams of humans and demons clash, all set in the Evil Dead universe, and players will be able to take on the roles of the franchise's key characters, including, of course, Ash. The authors promise a variety of maps, unique abilities of heroes, as well as exciting PvP gameplay in the setting of cult films. If your favorite game is not included in this list, write in the comments. Thanks for watching.